So the PTO Canadian Open is done. First ever of the PTO Open races, which was super exciting. I was totally stoked to be racing in Canada for that, and I'm just really glad I got to be a part of it. So as you saw in the last video, I had a training camp in Castle Rock that went really well. Fitness-wise, I was feeling great, like very ready to compete with those guys in a super strong field. The prep week was sort of, I guess, the taper week. It was a bit different than usual. We had to be there by like the Tuesday, and the race was Sunday, so it was a little bit longer than I would normally be there, which was fine. And I stayed at the race hotel, so everything was super easy logistically. Got my pre-race sort of photos done. PTO is really pushing the quality on a lot of their kind of media side, and I was there with Dale, getting some photos and doing some different things. I actually got some photos running and a few different ones than usual, so that was fun. Did the Breakfast with Bob interview, did the interview for the TV coverage, so that was all smooth. Everything was kind of done by, pre-race meeting was Friday morning, so I felt pretty ready for the race, to be honest. A little early, so kind of just trying to kill some time and keep the nerves under control, which was tough. Honestly, I was super nervous for the race, mainly because I really wanted to do well, and I felt good, and I knew I had a good opportunity. So I think I handled it pretty well. In future, I might try to, it's nice to travel with a friend and maybe stay with a friend, or if Montana can come, that's great, because it kind of helps distract me when, it's feeling a bit too intense. So but it all went fine. The race came, and race day was a bit different. I typically wouldn't race at 12:45 in the afternoon, but that was what the race time was, so I just sort of tried to adjust my nutrition plan to kind of fit with that, and went from there. The start was actually great for me. I really was out pretty well the first 50 meters. I had a good dive. Everything was going well there. Getting the first turn at about 180 meters in, I was still where I needed to be, probably towards the back of what ended up becoming that second pack. And for the rest of the lap, I kind of just lost touch a little bit, and unfortunately, I probably swam about 5 seconds too slow for that first lap, and I didn't make that second group. So the next two laps, I lost another 90 seconds, being in the third pack rather than the second. So that was a bit of a tough swim for me. I know that I'm able to be in that pack, and it just didn't quite happen for me. So already thinking of ways I can be a little bit stronger in the swim. I just didn't quite feel as strong as I have in some of these other swims. So that was not a great start, but got on the bike and really went to work and just committed to trying to catch some of these other packs. So I rode very well for the whole ride. It took Lionel probably over 2 laps to catch me, or no, just about 2 laps, I think it was, to catch me, and he wasn't going way faster than me or anything. I just kind of let him go because I wanted to stay on my own pace. So I could have tried to stay with him and then maybe blown up, but he was riding super well, so he kind of took off, kept going, and I was able to move from, I think I was 28th out of the water up to 12th place off the bike. So had a really great ride, and was starting to feel like, okay, I'm in this race. I can run into a top 10, and let's see what happens. Unfortunately, right as soon as I started running, my abdomen just really cramped up. I guess like a lot of the muscles of my core seemed to be cramping up, and I just wasn't feeling strong. I think there was a bit of a nutrition issue for my abdomen to cramp up like that's unusual. It's happened in races years ago, but hasn't happened for a long time. So that, in combination with probably not quite absorbing my nutrition as well as I could have, I just wasn't strong on the run, and it was definitely a grind out there, just to kind of keep going and hold my position decently. But guys were running by me, and I did fall back to 19th, which, still a top 20, still a decent payday, but I was definitely disappointed, just with what seemed like a really good opportunity. And looking back at how the race played out, I feel like making that second swim group was not out of the question, and I've had swims that have been good enough that I could have been in there. So, you know, disappointed but encouraged because of how close I really was. And also on the run, like just being able to get my nutrition a little bit better. So basically I think what happened was I tried to get my race day nutrition plan as close to like my normal plan as possible, which is, you know, I usually eat breakfast 3 hours before, and then I might have like one gel before the race, and then I go. And I use my First Endurance EFS on the bike, the liquid shots as well as the drink mix, and that works great for me. But since the race was later, I kind of, you know, delayed my breakfast to try to get it close, but it was still like 4.5 hours before, and then I had to have like 3 or 4 gels leading up to the race because I was getting kind of hungry. And I think a better approach would have been to kind of have a second meal to get more real food in my stomach, which is what I'm used to. I'm used to training that way. And then I don't think I would have had the issues, but that's something I can do for next time. And, you know, just little changes and I could be right in there. So super happy to have had the experience. And I mean, that was one of the best swimming fields I think I've ever raced with, if not the best. To have Henry Schumann crushing it off the front like that is crazy, but it makes everything difficult for the rest of us who aren't as good as him on the water. But it was really cool to see Paula crush it and you know, get second for the women's field. And my teammate Tamara did awesome, ran her way up to, I believe, 13th. So that was great to see, and the whole experience was great. It's awesome that the PTO is able to put these big races together. That, you know, these opportunities just weren't a thing a couple years ago. So it's really, really cool. But I was honestly really nervous after the race, not knowing if I was going to be in for the Collins Cup or not, because it was really close in the rankings, and, you know, Kyle Smith had a chance to pass me, and I thought he very well might have with a solid day that he had. And fortunately for me, I was able to hold on to the 4th slot. So I'm in for Collins Cup, which is super exciting. I'm already kind of getting my training ramped back up to have a good day there. And Montana's coming with me, so that's going to be great, and we're going to have an awesome trip. So thanks everyone for following. Super excited for the next race and just the rest of the season. And I know that the fitness I had coming into this race and still is really, really good. Just a couple small tweaks and all of a sudden it's a great day. So I know that day is coming at Collins Cup, and follow along there. I'll hopefully be able to show some of my training and my lead up into that race. And let's see if we can, you know, not take home the Broken Spoke Trophy for last place this year. But congrats to everyone else who qualified. Congrats to everyone who raced in Edmonton. It was awesome. Just to see how competitive that field was and to be a part of it. So thanks so much.
Laundry, the Canadian, a 38-year-old who wins match number 12 and brings to a close the Collins Cup.